Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me. I'm Rob. Let's get on with our draft coverage.
Oh, yes. It is time. So we got our final day of New York Giants draft coverage here as we start going over all the undrafted rookie free agents here. So we have a whole laundry list here of what's going on here as far as all the undrafted guys who are officially signed. Plus, we also have a list of guys who were tryout invited, basically. So like they're allowed to go to rookie minicamp, see what happens. There's no promise. There's no contract.
Officially, unofficially invited.
Yes, exactly. Also, welcome back to Facebook, people. As John says, hey, Facebook working again. Did you hire what's his face to fix it? No, Facebook just decided to fix itself, basically. So,
Mark Zuckerberg, thank you for hooking us up. I called you. Thanks for following up.
Well, Facebook is taking away some of the features that it had. And when it did that, it decided to basically go ahead and take away additional features that it didn't intend to. So that's basically the problem we had there. So we're good to go now. So let's go over some rookie free agents here. As I notice all of a sudden, it's like my camera's all fuzzy for some reason here. I don't know what's going on.
Fuzzy camera, fuzzy
a bear. All right, so let's go over the rookie free agents here. So what I did basically is we got this labeled by Madden position rank order basically like you would. So starting off with the wide receivers here, since we didn't go ahead and get any any of the quarterbacks, running backs, which I'm a little shocked by. Can I say that up front? Like not a single running back. I know we have a lot of mediocre running backs, don't get me wrong. But when Singletary is the only one that I actually have any faith in whatsoever, I would have liked, them to go ahead and get a running back. Just saying.
Well, how many picks do you think these guys have?
No, it's not picks. These are undrafted free agents. They get to sign whoever they want.
Touche.
I'm saying so. All right. Anyway, we're starting off here. Ayir Asante, wide receiver out of Wyoming. So, yeah, he basically started off there a couple of years over at Holy Cross there, 19 to 22. Went over to Wyoming last year. 5'10", 180 pounds, so a little tiny guy. Originally from Franklin Township, New Jersey, so he's a Jersey boy. Did go to high school in Jersey City as well. Last year for Wyoming, 20 and 23 there, 13 games, 21 receptions, 372 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 rushes, 11 yards, and 1 touchdown. So not a lot of production yardage wise, but 7 touchdowns in 13 games in a basically a backup role is not too shabby. I'll take that. Has kickoff experience there, and got some speed. Ran a 4.52 40 at his pro day there. So I thought this was kind of interesting too. This was his quote he gave at his pro day. He said, "My top thing is versatility. I'm a guy that can play outside, inside, and I can come out of the backfield. I pride myself on being a football player and a huge asset. I know NFL teams only have 53 roster spots, and I'm one of those guys that's willing to do whatever it takes to help the team. I think that's a big point for me. Nothing's above working hard. I want to earn everything I get. I don't want anything handed to me. I'm a student of the game. You're not going to have the off-the-field issue with me or anything like that. You're going to get a good football player that's always going to give his best, and when you throw him the ball, he'll make plays." It's about as damn good as a quote as you get.
Yeah, that's like verbatim by the book, how you answer questions when you want to get drafted or just picked up by a team in general.
I'll tell you this. If his football career doesn't work out, he's going to have a nice future potentially as a media
PR.
These guys, holy Nike! I read that. I was like, "Oh my god, this is like the absolute freaking perfect." Like you couldn't ask for anything better. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. Next up, we have as I lose my space here. Jon Jiles. And as you can tell by the pictures we had, that there was not a lot of pictures of Jon Jiles. So I keep on hitting the off on this thing instead of putting us back on. There we go. So Jon Jiles from West Florida. I think this is the second time during this draft season we've mentioned West Florida, by the way. Who would have thought that? Like, I didn't even know there was a school named West Florida until this draft year.
Is there even a West Florida? Does it even make sense?
I'm in Florida.
You are in Florida.
I'm in West Florida.
You're in Florida.
It's on the Gulf Coast. It's therefore West Florida.
Yeah. It's the small peninsula. It's Florida.
Now, where the school is, by the way, is Pensacola, which is, if you know where Floribama is, that's where that is, right there.
It's right
So
in the panhandle.
It's literally as close as you get to Alabama while still being in Florida, basically. So that is as West Florida as it gets. There's not much more west.
Yeah.
So, it is a West Florida.
It's panhandle. It's not West Florida. There's the difference.
It's Western Florida. Stop it. Anyway, we're gonna discuss Florida geography more than we are the actual player here. Sheesh. Anyway, you played at West Florida the last 2 years. Before that, played at Virginia Union in I should say went to Virginia Union in 21 and 22. Did not play football in 21 for some reason. Started off at Fort Scott Community College in 18 and 19 after originally committing to Marshall at a high school. I got to be honest, guys. There is not a ton of info on this guy. There really isn't. Like, I searched more for the information on this guy than probably anybody else. What I'm wondering is if there's been some trouble he's gotten into, because it's weird that he committed to Marshall and then instead goes to Fort Scott Community College. So whether it's off the field trouble or academic trouble, I'm not sure. But there's no other reason I can think of why you go and sign to go to Marshall and then end up at Fort Scott Community College. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
There's
either
really not.
trouble, grades.
One of the something negative happened in his life. I don't want to speculate too much on what it could be because we just literally don't know. If he makes the roster, maybe we'll try to do a little more hunting, but I'm not going to go crazy trying to figure out that kind of stuff for a guy that, let's be honest here, may never see the field in a regular season game.
Correct.
So
maybe once or twice as a backup in the special teams.
Here's a write-up on him from Lance Zierlein of the NFL.com. Jiles has arms like vines and showed off his ridiculous catch radius on more than one occasion during his college career. Despite playing against smaller foes, he has a lighter win rate on contested catches than he should, as he fails to bully and wall off opponents at the catch point. He's a sloppy route runner and lacks NFL long speed. Jiles will need to become more aggressive and consistently competitive to prove he can win possession catches and rise to the challenge of much stiffer competition. Now, that's not a very good write-up. Let's be very frank about that right off the bat.
No, that's terrible.
Here's the one thing that is good about him. It's his 23 stats, which I got to say, I had to go hunting to get this. I finally found some random article about him that happened to include his stats from last year. Even West Florida University didn't show his stats. Shame on you, West Florida. So
it's messed up.
That's weird. Yeah, right? Like, everybody that's even in the smaller places that, you know, like the college version of Pro Football Focus, I forget what their website is, but same version thing. I see the little yellow flag. I know it's them. They didn't list some of the smaller school guys. Everybody else, though, but this guy, the school was like, here you go. Here's the stats. So what I was able to find is he had apparently 1,209 yards and 16 touchdowns. So definitely a highly productive year for somebody who basically had a really bad write-up. So
yeah, I was going to say
that good, but that's a lot of output. So curious what happens. So that's kind of all the guys, he's got the best numbers of anybody we're going to talk about today, guys.
Yeah, I mean that means he's not at a good school, and he's beating it up on teams that should be beat up on.
Yeah,
where stats.
I also look at it as like, if he was a 1,200-yard guy at West Florida, what would he be at a bigger school? Would he be half of that? Because even if he's half of that, that's still better than most of the guys we're going to talk about today, if not all.
Yeah. I mean, he still has, once again, He's not going to be a starter in the NFL, most likely. Not going to would. But
Victor Cruz, here we go.
Maybe he could be. Maybe he could be. Not going to would. Just you look at those stats, and it just screams to me like he played some poor competition, but he had some great numbers. But if you're getting a write up like that you don't have the top end speed to go down the field to be a wide receiver, that's a big problem. If you're not aggressive getting off guys in smaller schools, which means they're bigger guys in bigger schools, which means those bigger guys are small guys in the NFL.
I think we just broke the record for most times saying big and small in one paragraph.
Big and small, big and small, big and small, big and small, big and small.
Next up, we got Jake Kubas, guard out of North Dakota State. Played there from 18 to 2023 here. 6'4", 308 pounds. Originally from Dickinson, North Dakota there. Again, another guy, not a lot of information out there. Now, obviously, North Dakota State is a very small school, but it's had some NFL talent come out of it. So it's not like it's in Nowheresville. Here's the player from the information from the player profile from North Dakota State University's website, which, by the way, see? A website with information. Looking at you, West Florida. Looking at you. They said selected to the second team by Phil Steele and third team by the Associated Press. All Missouri Valley Football Conference first team. Started 14 games at right guard, missing the NCAA first round win over Drake due to injury. Had a streak of 41 consecutive starts prior to the injury. Blocked for an offense that ranked fourth in the FCS, averaging 237.3 rushing yards per game, and led the nation in rushing yards, touchdowns, and offensive touchdowns. The Bison also ranked second nationally in passing efficiency, completion percentage, and red zone scoring. MVFC Offensive Lineman of the Week for his performance in a key November victory over Southern Illinois, graded out at 90% with no sacks or tackles for loss, while helping NDSU rush for 217 yards and 4 touchdowns, the most yards allowed by SIU's then third-ranked defense in the FCS. Through 11 regular season games, graded out 92% overall with no sacks allowed and only 3 penalties, selected as one of NDSU's 6 team captains. So a couple takeaways from that. One, he did very good at that school. The key is, can he repeat that against better talent? The second takeaway is 6 team captains. Looking at you, Giants. Okay, 6. That's a more reasonable number than 13. I'm sorry. Half the fucking team is a freaking captain. Cut it out. Cut it out. They do it again this year, I'm going to flip my you-know-what, It's just like, it's a little ridiculous, guys. It's a little
well, they got rid of quite a few of those captains as well.
I know, seriously. Just don't fill their spots. We'll be fine. Don't you worry, guys. We have enough. Next up, we have another offensive lineman here. Marcellus Johnson, offensive tackle out of Missouri. Also played in Eastern Michigan from 19 to 23 there. 6'4", 309 pounds. This is a guy that got a lot of guaranteed money, guys. He got $170,000 in guaranteed money. Now, I know in football terms that is nothing. Do not get me wrong. But in undrafted rookie free agent land, that's a lot. So you gotta compare it to what you got as far as what's available and what you got there. So 2023, he appeared in 10 games at Missouri, played mostly special teams, did start at right guard against Kansas State. So there's a little bit of tape on him at Missouri there from that. Started at left tackle for 3 seasons at Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan averaged 30.1 points per game during his time at left tackle. So obviously the quarterback was able to stay upright, or you don't score 30 points a game. That's kind of a lot. He's a very strong pass blocker who was effective as a blocker on the field goal team last season for Missouri. But run blocking has been an issue. So, but again, if you gave him a lot of money like that, this is a guy the Giants plan on holding on to, whether it's potentially as a swing tackle, which is one thing I've heard rumors of him getting a look there potentially, or as a practice squad kind of guy there. So we'll have to see what happens. A little weird to me to be giving guaranteed money to a guy that didn't even start last year, but whatever. What do I know?
you look at the potential, and like once again, you said like $170,000 is a lot of money for undrafted talent. But at the same time, it is a minute amount if you go out and sign a free agent somewhere else.
Oh yeah.
So you're taking a gamble on something you think could work out. Shoot your shot.
All right.
Too bad it's a football podcast, and I made a
Yes.
basketball shot.
It's okay. I won't tell. Next up, defensive lineman Casey Rogers out of Oregon. I just love that photo of him, by the way. For those people who are on the audio podcast that don't get that photo, you're missing out, guys. This is why you got to get the video going. So, or even a Twitter land. So you got again, defensive lineman out of Oregon, played there the last 2 seasons, played 2 seasons in Nebraska prior to that. 6'5", 305 pounds from Syracuse, another New York, Jersey area guy. 14 games, 22 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble this past season there. Got a little write-up here from Gene Clemens of SI's Giants Country. He says, Rogers has a prototypical 3-tech frame and plays like a guy better suited for that position. He's a good gap shooter, which allows him to succeed on slants and stunts where he initiates the movement exchange. He also has a high motor and enough short area quickness and agility to make the tackle box uncomfortable for an offense to operate smoothly. As a pass rusher, Rogers is a disruptor, but not a finisher. His pad level is too high to consistently win against sound pass blocking technique. He does not seem to possess a go-to pass rush move that he can rely on consistently to win if it's just not burst past a blocker. In the run game, he lacks the technique and power to hold up against power run blockers, and he gets washed away in double teams. Overall, he does not possess consistent block destruction techniques against pass blockers or run blockers. If he does not win initially off the line, he struggles. So yeah, he's got a quick burst. He's got a quick first step. That seems to be all he's got. That's basically what the synopsis is. Again, when you have guys who haven't developed a great move, have issues with powerful blockers and all, a lot of this is technique and coachability kind of stuff there. So it's not a bad thing to take a shot on a guy that just needs some technique help at that point there. The big question is, can you coach him? Is he coachable?
I was going to say.
He went to 2 big schools. That's what scares me.
Yeah, you would think in one of those schools they would be able to harness a swing move? Something?
Swim, a rip, a curl, something. I mean,
yeah.
Something. I mean, it's weird. It's like Oregon and Nebraska both. Like, that's legit schools. So, yeah. So we'll have to see with that one. That one scares me a little bit there because of that. I like that. You know what it is? I'll admit freely, I like getting undrafteds that are from small schools. That's what I like. Because then you can blame it on coaching.
Yeah.
You can't blame it on coaching when you Oregon and Nebraska. So, next up. Linebacker Ovi Ogofu. So, actually easier to pronounce than I expected when I first saw it. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a good one to learn." Ogofu. It's nice and simple.
I can say that.
Ogofu.
Yeah, I said Ogofu. I can say that.
Yeah, see? There you go. You got it. All right. So played for LSU last year, played for Texas in 21 and 22, played at Notre Dame from 18 to 20. So he's basically a college veteran. He's going to collect a Social Security card before he gets out of college the way it's going. Goddamn. 6'3", 248 pounds from Lathrop Village, Michigan. His last season there, the one lone season at LSU, 13 games, 34 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 1 pass defended, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. So, yeah, it's not a lot of production, guys. This is where the
and go with.
That's where it kind of scares you a little when you start hearing some of these guys. Again, guy went to 3 really good schools, and he still didn't amount to anything. Not really holding out much hope here. NFL.com's Lance Zierlein again here with a nice little write-up here. 6-year senior with stops at Notre Dame, Texas, and LSU. Ogofu possesses a tapered frame with long arms and a leaner lower body. While he lacks anchor in his base, he avoids being centered and driven off the ball thanks to well-timed punches and an ability to play outside blockers. However, he doesn't have the burst to restrict outside runs or threaten the edge as a rusher. While he's a try-hard player, he's not skilled enough as a rusher and might lack the dynamic athleticism needed to create advantages against NFL opposition. Again, not a very good write-up, guys.
No, not at all.
Now, let me be very frank, though. If he had a good write-up and scouts thought higher of him, he wouldn't be available as an undrafted free agent, though, at the same point. So
yeah,
I don't want to make it seem like we're getting like the bottom of the barrel undrafted rookie free agents. Like if there was a good write-up, somebody would have drafted him. They had, 200 and some odd chances to get him, almost 300. It's like when you're worse than Mr. Irrelevant, that's not good.
Not at all.
Not good. Here's another guy that we did give a lot of guaranteed money to, as far as at least undrafted free agent, a lot of guaranteed money, and that is Alex Johnson, the DB out of UCLA there. Alex Johnson is played for them from 20 to 23, 6'1", 185 pounds. Mostly played corner, though he did play some free safety and was also on special teams. This past season, 13 games, 29 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 5 interceptions. That's nice. 3 passes deflected, 1 fumble recovery, which was recovered for a touchdown. By the way, that was against Caleb Williams. Just had to put that little side note because, I like to point out Caleb Williams falls. I can't help myself. He led the Pac-12 actually interceptions this year, and he had 0 in his career prior to this year. That's interesting. Like, talk about a great time to have your best season.
Yeah.
So, but we gave him $115,000 in guaranteed money. Let's be honest, the interceptions is what everybody wants him for. Heavy.com's Michael Obermuller said, at his pro day, Johnson ran a 4.48 second 40-yard dash with a 37 vertical and a 10 foot and 7 inches broad jump. He ran a 7-second 3-cone grill, according to the UCLA website. Johnson was more of a rotational DB and special teamer up until the 2023 season. Last year, he started 8 of the 13 appearances and led the Pac-12 interceptions. So he led the Pac-12 interceptions while having, 2/3 of his games only as a starter. That's kind of odd. Like, I'm curious, and I think I probably would have to go ahead and see more tape on and stuff, but it's like,
yeah, I definitely have to go back and watch some more.
Why would you bench him?
I mean,
or did they not start him till later because he got a couple of interceptions? I don't know. Like, I'm kind of curious.
I have a feeling like it's somewhere along those lines, but there's some fine print that we have not seen that we got to go back and look at the tape, because if you're using a guy like this as a rotational piece and he's not getting interceptions, and all of a sudden you go, hey, rotate. Oh, interception. Keep rotating in. Interception. Keep rotating in. And the next thing you know, he's starting more. Like, maybe he wasn't used right. Or maybe he didn't develop. Maybe he didn't develop to, his last year.
What's weird is he got 2 interceptions his second week, okay? Then all of a sudden, his 5th week, he got 1. And then his 9th week, he had 1. He had 1 the last week. So it's like they're spread out. It's not even like you didn't see him a lot of time and all of a sudden he got him. You know what I mean? And it doesn't unfortunately tell you on Sports Reference. That's the name of it. Sports Reference version of the college stuff. I'm looking at the game log right now. It doesn't say start or not, so it's hard to say.
And you're not. I have to do some more homework. We can talk about him once we want a little bit more.
Yeah, that'll be a guy that if he makes a squad, I'm going to be definitely curious to do a little homework and dive on in. But like I said, for now, I wanted to give you guys a quick synopsis. I don't want to go crazy on guys that very well may not make the roster. But this is a guy that I do expect to stick around because they gave him money. It's just a matter of how long he does stick around for. We'll find that out. All right.
Yeah.
So that's Oh, you know what? I got one more guy. I almost forgot.
Don't forget about the Saint.
Don't you forget
about me.
You know what happened is I didn't get it for some reason. I didn't get a picture made for this guy, so that's why I don't have. That's why he was on my list here. All of a sudden, I'll be doing the pictures. But and I remember making a picture for him. I got to figure out where the hell it went. What are you slapping the squirrel over here? Stop it. Oh yeah, I went Animaniacs on you. We got one last player here, which, to be very frank, he doesn't deserve a picture. He doesn't.
Yes, that's a fair statement.
Jude Nakatomi, not to be confused with the Nakatomi Building in LA, home of the best Christmas party ever. Plays kicker from Rutgers. Played there the last 2 seasons. Played at Chowan University in North Carolina in 21 as well. He's actually a converted Irish rugby player. So we got more of that. We got Scottish guys already. Now we got an Ireland guy. I'm not sure if they're going to fight on the field. I'm not sure what the relationship is between these countries right now.
They're going to be playing rugby on the field in the practice squad.
Seriously. In 23, he was 23 of 24 for extra points, 12 of 18 of field goals. And then in 23, he was 0 for 1 for field goals. He literally lost his starting job. He's extremely raw. Doesn't seem to know too much about. I literally saw one play where he went up to go kick the ball. The entire kickoff team took off, and he just didn't kick it. Didn't even know that was a penalty, apparently, the way he's reacting. There's no fake outs on the kickoff, guys.
Yeah.
What's the other team? What's the effort that goes forward? You have to go kick the ball. But you can tell everybody's in the field, what do I do? What do I do? It's hilarious. But yeah, he's not going to make the team, guys. I honestly think they brought him in there because if you want to do kicking drills so you can see what guys do on special teams, do you know what you need? It's going to sound crazy. What you would need to do kicking drills. What do you think you would need to do kicking drills, Rob?
A kicker.
Crazy thought. Whoa. So yeah, why else would a guy who literally lost his job as a starting kicker at Rutgers be at a rookie minicamp, but to do kicks to the kicking drills? That's all. He'll get paid some money to do that, and he'll move on. And they'll go, put that as a down payment for his house, go work at a local CVS and get a house with a white picket fence and have a wife and a couple kids and a dog. So
sounds like
that's probably the extent of his career there. So, all right, let's pay the bills real quick, guys, because we still got to go over the tryouts here. Then we'll go over the comments, which I think is mostly, if not all, John Anderson here, which we're fine. Let's get a little dose of John Anderson here. But
there we go, John.
In the meantime, guys, listen, I see y'all watching. Feel free to pop in some comments. Let us know your thoughts here on whether it be the draft as a general, whether it's one of the guys be drafted, or one of these guys we're picking up here. I'm going to let you guys know as well. We gave a tryout to a cousin of a current NFL, I should have said current New York Giant. So a guy who's currently on the roster, we gave his cousin a tryout in this minicamp. So we're going to talk about the tryouts next here. So I'm curious you guys to go ahead and give your thoughts and guess on who do you think this guy is a cousin of. And no, it's not Daniel Jones. I'll say that up front. All right, let's go ahead and pay those bills.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. Buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, so here I am back again. And let's
rock
go over
you like a hurricane.
Here I am. All right. We already put the John with Facebook work. And John says, ooh, just noticed a silver trophy above on the right with a silver coin with 1 on it. I don't know what that is, John, to be honest with you. That's coming like a Facebook symbol. It probably is like a top fan kind of thing or something. Yeah. Let's see here.
Congratulations.
Yes. He says, because I'm a big blue silver gorilla. That's what he says. Big blue silverback gorilla, he meant. I saw Congo. I'm just saying. I saw Congo.
Yeah, there's no blue.
The scary thing is, I just saw Congo recently, and I gotta say, I didn't even realize. I did not even realize the cast in that and how well it was. I remember watching it as a kid when it came out, but I did not realize the cast of it. Like, that's a good cast.
Oh, it was fantastic.
So you
Yeah, too bad it
got
was a terrible movie. I enjoyed it as a kid. I remember getting the
yeah,
Congress
no,
in
it's
the Year Cup.
definitely. I mean, yeah, I mean, you got Laura Linney, who has been on like a lot of Showtime shows and stuff like that. Very good actress.
Yeah.
Tim Curry, which obviously, if you don't know who Tim Curry is, just turn this podcast off and leave. I'm kidding. Don't actually leave, but you need to learn who he is quickly. You know, Ernie Hudson of Ghostbusters is in it as well. Even
Yes.
Bruce Campbell is in this movie. Bruce Campbell.
And he does not play an ape. Well,
Yeah, he doesn't play for very long, that's for
Ape,
sure.
Yeah,
Doesn't
nah.
play for very long. Let's see. John all says that's what she said when you had two guys at one time. Oh, what? I don't even know what that comment was about there. That's the problem. We do the things like
Yeah, I think it was
good.
good. I think we kept talking about like the big talk, big little, big little.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's where that came into. I think that's where that came into place.
He says, Roberto, we need something on your wall to block that white light spot behind you. LOL. Look, it's not there right now. He's got it gone right now. He says, maybe your giant head. See what I did there? And he does it. LOL. Did you move the camera at all because of John putting that comment?
I did. Actually, literally, as soon as I saw that comment, I took my big head away and blocked it.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if you noticed me sitting there for like this for a minute.
He says Roberto's not just a pretty boy, he's smart too. Oh, he called you pretty.
Thanks.
Let's see. John says, hey, whatever happened to Josh Rosen, that QB that got picked and let go and been all over the place? I don't even know where Josh Rosen is right now, to be honest with you. I'm assuming that he is probably a free agent. Yeah, he is a free agent.
I was going to say free agent or practice squad somewhere.
He is a free agent. He has not officially played on a team since he played in 4 games at Atlanta in 21. And let me see if I can see real quick where he was at here. If I go to Wikipedia real quick.
Was he on the Vikings for a little bit?
He was, and that's the problem. When you go on to other stuff, if they didn't play, they don't tell you where they were. So okay, 22. He was on the practice squad for the Cleveland Browns and the Minnesota Vikings.
Yes.
And he did not go anywhere last year. So I'm pretty sure it's safe to say his career is done. So I'm pretty sure it's also safe to say he's made enough money that he don't care.
You're probably not wrong.
I'm definitely not. I mean, his rookie contract alone, he was a top 10 pick, man. He made his money. He's fine. So
he could be greedy. You don't know. Don't judge.
He could be greedy, but if he's greedy, he would have played better. So he had a longer career, for damn sure. Just saying. Let's see here. Oh, I misspelled. I was looking up over the cap to see how much money Josh Rosen made in his career, and I put over the camp instead by accident. $18.8 million he made in his career. That's bad. That's really bad. Yeah.
I mean, you asked me Joe Schmo that made $18 million in his career, even though he's going to get taxed at probably 60%.
He made $11 million with the Cardinals. $6 million with the Dolphins, and then everybody else was like, even like this last year he played, he made $120,000 when he was on practice squads and didn't even do anything. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Good for him.
Anyway, Deb says I think it's Evan Neal, and she is 100% right. Evan Neal's cousin coming up. Connor says, "Hi, I'm Tom." Hi, I'm Tom. Which, of course, if you guys don't know, 50 First Dates is the movie. And I freaking love that movie. And they also had the reference of that in Blended. When they meet at the grocery store and they swap purchases because Adam Sandler doesn't want to buy tampons and Drew Barrymore doesn't want to buy a dirty magazine. So they switch and Tom happened
I don't think I've seen Blended.
You should see Blended. We're blending. Hey, what's his name? What's the guy who always does the pecs and does like that with shaking his pecs and stuff like that? Terry Crews.
Yeah, Yes.
he's in that movie too as well. It's a really good movie. Really good movie.
You're taking a flip of a coin when you're watching an Adam Sandler movie. It's either really good.
No. I disagree fully. I love Adam Sandler movies. The only ones I don't like is he made a couple of them
Jack and
towards
Jill.
the end. Yeah, like Jack and Jill, or like he made Ridiculous 6 with Netflix. There's a couple that are really bad.
Ridiculous 6 at his low point of his movies is still a higher one than some of the other ones he's come out with.
No, the only good part of that entire movie is them explaining how to play baseball, because that's hilarious.
Yes.
Anybody doesn't know how to do that, look up Ridiculous 6 baseball rules. It's freaking hilarious. I think if you YouTube, it'll come right up probably. Connor says Congo was school. Scary Apes. As a kid, I was 25, I think. Yeah, that was out a while ago. It was like 30 years ago, I want to say now. He says he got labels messed up because they picked that little baby QB on Arizona. Yeah. He said he was rich already. A lot of people didn't like him for that. I heard that he had some. Josh Rosen came from a rich family, but who knows how much rich he was and how much rich his family was. There is a difference. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not saying either way, but just because his parents had money don't mean he got money. Some parents are like that. They're like, yep, that's our money, not your money. You go make your own.
Yeah.
But yeah, he made his money though. He's he's had enough there. He's good.
He's gonna open up a jacuzzi shop.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Over in the middle of Arizona.
Get some oceanfront property in Arizona. You'll buy that. I could throw the Golden Gate Bridge in free. All right, let's go through our rookie camp tryout invites. And yeah, guys, there's a lot of these that go down. We're not going to give you nearly as much information on these guys because, quite frankly, it's just not worth. Yeah, it's not worth showing you guys because these guys are going to show up, and it's even be a battle for them to get into training camp, let alone make the roster. All right, so we got Chris Ottman-Bell, wide receiver out of Minnesota. 9 games this past season, 6 receptions, 88 yards, and 1 touchdown. Not very good. But he would play there from 18 to 23 and averaged 439 yards his first 4 years. So he did have some success in the past. You got Nick Martyr, wide receiver out of Auburn, played also with Cincinnati in 22 and Hawaii 19 to 21.
Hawaii.
Who goes from Hawaii to Cincinnati? First off, I'm sorry. That just shows bad decisions right there.
You did it wrong, kid.
Like, seriously, like most people move from Cincinnati to Hawaii, not the reverse. 4 games this year with 0 receptions in Auburn. But he had 913 yards for Hawaii back in 21. See, he should never have left. We got Jay McAfee, who has, the best of my knowledge, no relation to the guy who did the McAfee Internet Security Suite. So wide receiver / tight end out of Georgia Southern. Played there. Yeah, he was. Played there from 21 to 23. This past season, 12 games, 37 receptions, 478 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Trayton Pickering, tight end out of Montana State. We got a little bit of a write-up here on him because honestly, there was no information on this guy. I could not find a single stat page, a single draft profile, pretty much anything. 406mtnsports.com said Pickering started at tight end the previous 2 seasons, entered all Big Sky Conference selection in 23. The Sunburst native finished his MSU career with 754 yards and 6 touchdowns on 49 catches. Not that gives you much information, but that's literally all that I can find out there, man. It was bad.
It's nothing.
William Barnes, offensive lineman out of North Carolina, played there from 19 to 23. Last season, 12 games, 8 starts. In his time, he played guard, tackle, and special teams. So he's well-rounded like that. J.D. Duplian. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. I got to be honest. I didn't look up the tryout guys out as far as how to pronounce their names to make sure I was right. Michigan State, 19 to 23. Last season there, 12 games, 12 starts at left guard, started 42 consecutive games. So that's actually a guy who's got some promise there. He at least has a lot of experience. We'll have to see if it's good experience, obviously, when he gets into camp, but there's experience. Here he is, the cousin of Evan Neal, Chaz Neal. Literally Chaz with the Z, not a Chad. Offensive lineman, from Florida Atlantic. I just had to clarify because hanging chads is an issue in Florida sometimes. 2021 to 23. Listen, I made a joke about the election. It's okay. It's not politics. I didn't pick a side. It's okay. 21 to 23 in Florida Atlantic. Prior to that, he started his career at Florida State, actually, from 18 to 20. He's actually a converted defensive end and played right tackle mostly. Again, another guy I could not find stats on. Florida Atlantic let me down. I went on their page still even, and nothing. So, yeah, that's a little cray. We got also Elijah Chapman, defensive tackle at SMU, played there from 19 to 23. We got Bryce Feldman of the Atlantic. Of the Athletic said, actually a very good write-up for him. Not only is he pound for pound one of the strongest people in college football, Chapman is one of the strongest, period. On the field, Chapman made 25 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, and 2.5 sacks. In the weight room, the 6'1", 295 Shreveport native product bench press 495 pounds this offseason and has done 42 reps at 225. He's also back squatted 615 and power clean 335 and did this with muscle up weighing 290. Yeah.
My God.
That's a strong man. And it's funny, so get 295 and like that's not big enough to be a defensive lineman. But that kind of strength, maybe it is. So
my man has listened to the philosophy of 5-3-1 because my God, that's some power number moves right there. Especially when you're looking at, like you said, 42 reps at 225. So that shows endurance at a high weight philosophy. Like
that's like benching a person. A big person.
Bigger than the average person. You're looking at a small average NFL player that you
smarter than the average bear.
Hey, boo
I'm
boo.
assuming he is. I'm assuming he's smarter than the average bear. It'd be kind of bad if he's not.
Yeah,
he go to college.
So.
He went to college after all.
But I mean, when you bench press,
like class going, that's good.
That's good.
Next up, Quay Drake, linebacker out of Jacksonville State, which, by the way, again, I didn't even know it's a Jacksonville State. There's so many colleges in Florida. It's freaking ridiculous. Played it this past season. Prior to that, spent 2 seasons at Louisiana Monroe. Prior to that, did 2 seasons at Kennesaw State University. This past season, 92 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 interception, 2 passes defended, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 forced fumble. Yes?
I'm raising my hand, Drew.
I know you are. Go for it.
Does Jacksonville know? Does Jacksonville know it's not a state?
It's no. See, a state university just means they get state funding. You can call it whatever the hell you want.
State university is different.
That's what that is. It's a state university, Jacksonville State University.
Yeah, but you said Jacksonville State. Just saying.
I'm sorry. I used to use university now for everybody who's not assuming these things. Anyway, he also played basketball while in college at Louisiana Monroe. So good athlete, obviously. Had a good numbers the last season there, but also went to a small school and they weren't dominant, amazing numbers. So that's always like, you should be really good at that level if you're going to play in the NFL. I don't think Jacksonville State's ever had an actual NFL player come out of it.
Well,
yeah,
this could be their opportunity.
This could be the one to rule them all.
Jacksonville State University may have its first.
There we go. Next up, Andre White, linebacker out of Georgia Tech. Played it this past season. Prior to that, played at Texas A&M from 19 to 22. This past season, 10 games, 24 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, and 1 fumble forced. Again, another guy who played at 2 really big schools, didn't put up a lot of production. I have no hope. Sorry, I'm being negative, I know, but I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call it like it is. Callan Gervin. Again, I think I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. It's Kolon Gervin. Callan Gervin, I think. Mostly corner, but does listed as a DB overall. Played at Kansas this past year. Actually, the past 2 years, should I say. Prior to that, played 19 to 21 at Michigan State. This past season, 23 here. He had 13 games, 14 tackles and 4 passes defended there. Just 3 starts in 2 years at Kansas and 9 starts at Michigan State University. So if those counting at home, that's 11 starts in 5 years, guys. And we bring him in for a visit. Not quite sure why, but he does have athletic gifts, and I think that's what they're doing is they're putting in people that they think have one or the other to see if they can improve the other, if that makes sense. This guy's a good athlete. Let's see if we can fix his technique. This guy has good technique. Let's see if we can take a look at his athleticism and see what he excels at to see if there's a use somewhere for him on the field. Those kind of scenarios there. He's known as a team leader at his pro day at a broad jump of 11 feet 4 inches, which that's pretty impressive broad jump there. That would have tied for second amongst all participants at the NFL Combine. Not just at corner, not just at DB, all participants. So, again, has some athletic abilities. Ben LaBrosse, corner out of McGill University. See, I said university for you this time, Rob.
I appreciate that. Even it's also in your show notes.
I thought that's why I put it there. So for those who may not know where McGill University is, that's because it's in Montreal. And usually they'll say Le McGill University, I believe, is how you say it in French.
Oui.
Le Gill. Also played a couple of years over at 20 and 21 at Syracuse University, which of course is not in Canada. So I went to McGill University's website to get some stats on this guy because all I could find was the stats when he was at Syracuse. For whatever reason, McGill University decided to be just like West Florida and not put any stats up whatsoever for this year. So I have no 23 stats to give you guys. In 22, he had 35 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 1 pass deflected. Again, I think not going to be too crazy. I mean, he even got invited to the Combine. And the crazy thing is, I don't know if the college does this, the college football does this on purpose, or if the NFL does it on purpose. I don't know which one is the culprit behind this, but they love to bring Canadians to the Combine, even if they don't have a chance of being drafted, just to say that it's like an international Combine, basically. It happens all the time. So that's one of those.
Hey, man, can you run A? Let's go A.
Yeah. And here he is. Go to camp with us. Bring his tent.
It's an opportunity, eh?
He's making s'mores.
Fighting a moose.
For those who are curious, don't you know, the rookie minicamp is going to be May 10th through 11th this year. So mark your calendars because that should be some good information to have. Plus, on top of that, if I remember correctly, I'll be on my cruise at that point. So that'll be a Rob show. Rob gets to give you all his thoughts on the rookie minicamp.
The 10th. What is the 10th and 11th? The May the 4th is a Saturday, so the 10th and 11th is a Saturday, Sunday.
I'm pretty sure that, that's my first day. That's the when I'm leaving on the boat is the 11th. So yes. So that Monday would be the show you'd have the 13th, and that'd be your rookie minicamp show. You're on your own with this one, Rob. You get to discuss Ben LaBrosse from Canada, don't you know?
I'm going to tell you about all the hosers he's around.
All the hosers,
yeah.
and posers.
And then Tim Boyd's that he's been drinking.
Don't you know? Had all this Molson Triple X here.
Well, the show won't go on if I was drinking Molson Triple X.
Yeah, it's not that strong. I've had it plenty of times. The best part of Canada is the alcohol. Between the whiskey and the stronger beer.
You know what was amazing about Molson Triple X? Triple X came around when I think I was like 18, 19 years old. So we're like, oh my God, look at this beer. It's like 6.5%. It's like drinking battery acid, but let's go.
Dude, that's been around for much longer than that. It's been in Canada, like a legit version of it. Like
in the United States.
I know, but it's still not the same as in Canada. You want it in Canada. Yeah.
I don't think I do.
Yeah, you do.
I don't think you
do.
Is it better in Canada? How better
yes,
is it in Canada?
Yes, it is.
Does it taste like slightly less like battery acid with a little more alcohol content?
It's I mean, it's what you expect of a really strong beer, basically.
I've had some really strong beers that doesn't taste like battery acid. So.
Well, apparently you should be having them better. Anyway, I just realized, thanks to Bill who just popped in here, that we forgot one on our list here. And I checked up like 2 or 3 different sites that were doing trackers to verify I didn't miss anybody, and they didn't have him on here. Liam Thompson, quarterback out of Wabash, who threw for 11,149 yards, 102 touchdowns, both second in program history. Also rushed for 1,747 yards. But Bill puts in here, this Liam kid better not replace my Tommy. I'll be salty. You got no worries, man. The only reason they're bringing him in here is one reason only. Exactly. He's invited to camp, as Bill specifies here. The reason you invite him to camp is the same reason we have a kicker coming to camp. It's hard to run passing drills without a passer. You need a quarterback. In fact, I wouldn't
somehow
be shocked.
You got to start that shoot.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all if a second one even gets brought in just to kind of try to figure something out there like that. But yeah, it's no worries. Don't worry about him. He's, like I said, he's here just to throw the ball around for a couple of days and leave. That's what it boils down to. But we'll take a look. Who knows? I mean, stranger things have happened. DeVito might have been in that for that same reason last year too. Maybe he impressed them in some way. Maybe they said to him, like, "What do you see in this play?" And he went,
"My mom makes a really good shrimp bowl."
And like, "Oh, we want the shrimp bowl. Maybe we should sign this kid."
That pasta was true.
The pasta vazul. I actually had some vodka sauce and gnocchi last night. Oh my god, was it good? Oof.
Oh yeah,
it was good. It was like packed too.
Was it gnocchi potato or is it the?
Huh? It was potato and cheese.
There we go.
Yeah, it was legit. It was legit. It's very rare I say legit food about Florida. That was legit last night. Anyway, let's get it. We got some final news here to go over here with you guys. So before we get started here with that, I'm going to bring up a comment here because they already brought it up for us here. Because Connor says, did you hear they are letting go our Super Bowl winning quarterback Phil Simms and Boomer off of CBS for Matt Ryan? WTF. So we got to bring that up because I feel like we got Eli in now on Monday Night Football. And it was like, okay, we got Giants everywhere. We got Phil Simms on CBS. We got Strahan on Fox. We got Eli and ESPN now. We got Giants guys everywhere. Someone's going to have our back wherever we go. Nope. We lost him. We lost Phil Simms. But, I mean, Phil Simms, one thing I got to give credit to the guys when they get up there in age like that, he must still love what he's doing. To want to continue doing it. Because he's like almost 70 now, guys. I know it sounds crazy because we grew up with the guy, you know, but he's got to be pushing 70 now. I want to say he's like very late 60s. Yeah, like, so good for him for having this long of a career. He's 68.
You got to figure he was in his prime in the mid 80s. So
yes, he's 68.
In the mid 80s, 25 times that by 40. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's 68 years old. I looked it up for you. I don't have to do any math. I'm not doing math. Yeah. Boomer Esiason is 63, by the way. But yeah, they're both out, and Matt Ryan is in. So it's kind of the end of an era because we've grown up with these guys now for how long now being the guys at the studio, you know?
You would think they would take one of those guys and put him with a new guy and let that transition happen that way. But they might be ripping the Band-Aid off. They might be ripping the Band-Aid off and saying, hey, new era.
I guarantee they're ripping the money off because they're already having to pay Matt Ryan a ton of money. He's got a contract. Esiason and Phil both had their contracts ended. So I think that's what it is that they're just trying to save some money because Matt Ryan's cost them a ton. And now they can cut loose 2 guys that are making good money as well.
It makes sense too.
It's a money move. It usually is. Or something behind the scenes where one of those 2 was a diva or was pissed somebody off, basically. That's what it boils down to. So, but again, he's got 2 guys in their 60s that had long careers. Boomer's going to still work at WFAN, so you guys will still hear him on there. And Phil has some stuff he's going to still do with CBS. He's not going to do that. So, like I said, you'll see that. But yeah, it's like I said, a little crazy because they've just been there for so long. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So let's get into the rest of the news we had there, because we also had some other news to go over here for you guys. So first up, let's get into some Giants news here. So Shane Lemieux, I know you guys are wondering if we're going to re-sign Shane Lemieux, because what's the season? What's a Giants season without him playing one game and then being out for the year? It's like an annual rite of passage as a Giant fan to witness this. But yes,
it's true.
He has signed with the New Orleans Saints because only a Saint could heal him to let him play a second game in the season.
Just ask Eli Apple.
Yeah. so he's officially gonzo. We also have NFL news. Travis Kelce signed an extension with the Kansas City Chiefs.
No surprise there.
Yep. And Michael Gallup signed a 1-year, $3 million deal with the Raiders.
The Raiders?
The Raiders. I don't know why it was a question mark there, but yes, the Raiders.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got one last segment we got to go over with you guys here also before we go here, and that is final draft notes and rumors here, because there's still some stuff to go over that we just haven't gone over with you guys because it came out over the weekend here, and we're had so busy going over the actual stuff for the draft itself. What happened here? I already guessed. We said that. We said you guessed Evan Neal's cut.
Yeah, it's out of context. Let's finish up the news and we'll go into the comments and I'll explain to you, Drew.
What? What did I miss? I feel like I missed something now.
Connor said prior that Ryan is boring. Why did they hire him? Why does Deb have to guess? She already guessed Evan Neal's cousin.
Oh, okay. I got you. I thought she said that we didn't. I would say we definitely acknowledged that part there.
Yeah.
Making sure she knew she got her just rewards for that, which is basic kudos. So let's go over that final draft news here. So this is the first draft since 2016 the Giants did not draft any offensive or defensive linemen. That's a long time, guys. I know it doesn't sound like a long time on paper because 2016 seems like last week, but it's almost a decade. We're getting. I am old.
Speak for yourself.
When I wake up and I get out of the bed and my knees sound like Rice Krispies that just had fresh milk poured over them, yeah. I'm old. It is what it is. Also, seems the interest in getting JJ McCarthy may have been a smokescreen. According to Adam Schefter, he made this suggestion today that the Giants were trying to make it seem like they wanted JJ McCarthy so that the Chargers would trade with the Vikings, and then Joe Alt would be available to the Giants.
Oh,
interesting. So, because we talked about that as an option, we mentioned Joe Alt as an option a few times because he clearly was an option even before this, but that's a little crazy. Like, I think there would have been a revolt at Giants Stadium if they had drafted another offensive lineman.
Yeah, I think 100% right. If it wasn't neighbors, won't you be mine? Won't you be mine?
Won't you be my neighbor?
If it wasn't a wide receiver, it had to be quarterback. Like,
yes.
Especially on this podcast, how we talked. If you went and got Alt, I think we probably would have set our studios on fire, which would mean our house is on fire.
See, behind me is actual wood. I can't do that.
No, you set actual wood on fire, Drew. I don't think you know how fire works.
No. It's not that. I don't want to actually burn the whole house down. So if I burn the studio down, it would catch fire to the point where it would burn the whole house down. That's what I'm saying.
Well, so
yeah,
the house
we would have flipped. We would have flipped
Yeah.
about if that happened. Like, could you imagine picking another offensive tackle? Not just another offensive tackle, but another offensive tackle who played left guard. Left tackle, I'm sorry. If he had played right tackle, I would like if they had like Olu Fashanu, for example, that much. I could have understood that. I would have hated the picks. I don't like Olu Fashanu. But I would have understood it. So, yeah. A little cray there. Like that would have been like
it would have been like William Shatner And Star Trek 2.
We would have been flipping out. We would have been flipping out as badly as we've flipped out during all the losses this past season. Like insanity. Yeah, absolutely insanity there. Last bit of news here, and this is more of a rant we're going to have here. So, fair warning in advance. We're going to rant about this one.
Oh, jeez. Goofballs ranting.
I know you're shocked. But yeah, apparently Mark Ross, who I feel like works at the NFL Network only to be a douche to Giants. Because the only time I ever see anything about Mark Ross is when he says something about the Giants. Is it just me? Like, seriously, guys.
That's what it feels like. I mean, it could be our market, but
yeah. Like, does he talk about anything else but the Giants? Legitimately, I have the NFL Network, and I have it on my phone only because it's coming with the NFL Plus thing. But it's the only time I ever like watch the NFL Network is for like an actual game or like the draft. That's it. So. But yeah, anyway, he came on and said there that basically the Giants should have taken a quarterback. He said, great receivers do not save bad quarterbacks. And then he proceeded to even mention Kyler Murray as a great quarterback. So it was okay for them to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Guys, if that's not telling you all you need to know about how glad we should be that we don't have Mark Ross as an executive on this team anymore, I'm sorry, but that's absolutely the case. He even took credit for the OBJ pick, which I don't know how much he actually had involved. We'd have to talk to people that were in the rooms, those kind of conversations. But he's like, yeah, when we drafted OBJ, we still had Eli, who was a proven veteran quarterback. First off, a couple of notes on that. And we put it on Twitter. If you don't think having a good wide receiver room helps a bad quarterback, I want you to ask Geno Smith. Because he looked like crap his entire career until he got DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. Russell Wilson looked very good his entire career until he lost DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Kirk Cousins is not a good quarterback, guys. But you know what makes you look a good quarterback? Having Stephon Diggs and then JJ.
You're not wrong for your analogies. I am also going to rebuttal with that because how long was Russell Wilson with the Seahawks? Because he did not have Metcalf or Lockett his whole career. But what he did have was a fantastic defense that got the ball back really fast because they're great at picks and turnovers, which allowed him to make rookie mistakes without having a big sacrifice to a turnover, as if any other quarterback making a turnover with a bad defense. But at the time, and it's, God, if we're talking 10 years ago, he was drafted 2012. I don't recall whose receivers were at the time, but he's definitely had some talent in that room, and you're not wrong for making that assessment.
Like I said,
Kirk Cousins wasn't good until he left after he got drafted and had some receivers around him. So you're 100% right.
To me, it's like you could have you could say that a quarterback is bad. But you can also sit there and say, hey, we're going to put this good receiver on him, and that's going to go ahead and make him better. By the way, I did look it up out of curiosity for you, since you mentioned Russell Wilson being there for so long, as far as that, which, again, you're not wrong on that either. But when Russell Wilson first got there, they had Sidney Rice, Golden Tate, and Zach Miller.
Golden Tate, there you go. Because he was so good.
And then Tyler Lockett was there by his fourth year.
He's that old?
Yes, he is. He's like 31. He's always had good receivers. Russell Wilson.
I wasn't disputing that.
I'm just saying that for people who take. I'm just saying it for people who take that because I knew he had good receivers this whole time, and that's why I use that analogy. I just couldn't remember off the top of my head who his receivers were when he first got there.
Yeah.
But he
My
came
big
into
thing,
already
I
decent.
analyzed Wilson from the get-go because he made mistakes. He dropped, who was he, 5th-round pick in that 2012 draft?
The third round, he was a third-round pick. He was a third-round pick. Kirk Cousins was the 4th-round pick in that draft.
Correct. So, like, he had the opportunity to make the mistakes. I remember the Seattle's Legion of Boom, so when you got him. So, like, he had the opportunity
like
to
I said,
I'm
just to me, it's
but
the perfect
you're
example.
not wrong.
Here you have a really bad quarterback. Okay, let's be honest. Geno Smith was never a good quarterback in the league prior to Seattle. So you have a really bad quarterback that has had a bad career, went to a lot of places as a backup, got punched in the face by a teammate even because
when he was a starter, wasn't a backup.
Kind of issues he had. You know, he plays with the Jets, plays with the Giants, plays with the Chargers, then goes to the Seahawks. And all of a sudden with the Seahawks, after riding the bench with them for 2 years, Russell Wilson leaves, he comes in and he lights it up for 4,200 yards and 30 touchdowns.
2 years, I thought he was part of the Russell Wilson trade.
Who?
Geno Smith.
No, he was the backup for 2 years prior to that.
Was he?
Because they said that year they're going to let Geno Smith and Geno Smith and Drew Lock fight it out because Drew Lock was part of that trade, who's now on our team. Drew Lock was the quarterback they got. But yeah, then you got Russell Wilson, who was with the Seahawks for so many years, it's not even funny. Played 10 years, a full decade with this team. A really good 10 years where he literally averaged 10.5 wins a season. Like, that's a nice 10-year stretch.
I think he probably averaged like 4.
You know, wins a Super Bowl.
Mid 400.
Should have won a second Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And he goes in there like that. Comes out a Hall of Fame quarterback, potentially, basically. And then
soured his career by becoming a Bronco.
He does an Amber Heard in Denver and just shits the bed.
Yeah. Let's ride.
Yeah, like I said, and that's what I'm saying. The big difference is the scenario change. And you can't say it's the defense because the defense got worse in Seattle as things progressed there. Don't get me wrong, Russell Wilson also got a little worse as things progressed there. It's definitely part of the equation, the defense. But having a good wide receiver makes you better. I mean, even look at Eli Manning's last couple of years. Like when he got OBJ, he got a lot better all of a sudden. His numbers improved. Now, OBJ was what? Was it 2014? I want to say
13.
Let's see. I'm going to look it up here. I didn't plan on having this part of the conversation.
No. What is he? 13?
It was 14. It was 14. That was his rookie year. So
he's drafted 13. Okay.
No, he's drafted 14. You drafted the same year as your rookie year. So he has 4,900 yards he throws for in 2011. Okay, which by the way was, I believe, his highest ever. Yeah, he would have been the first Giant probably to hit 5,000 yards. I don't think it's ever been hit. He does that. Prior 2 seasons, both over 4,000 yards. Then goes to 39-48, 38-18. So it starts dropping. Then you get OBJ, 4,400, 4,400. And then 4,000, then 3,400. And then 4,000 again. But he started dropping off a little bit. And then OBJ got better. Got him better at that point. He kind of fixed some of the issues. So, like I said, I just look at that kind of stuff. Like even like 2013, his touchdown percentage, Eli, was 3.3% of his passes. His next 2 years, 5 and 5.7. You don't think having a good quarterback matters?
Of course it does.
That's what I'm saying.
It is a real football relationship. Because a quarterback and receiver will make each other look better
100%.
every step of the way.
It's 3 factors that matter. how good the quarterback is, how good the wide receiver is, and what kind of communication they have together.
Okay, I'll go with that. I was going to say the relationship, but yeah, same thing.
Yeah. The same.
It's the same. How
Some
they deal with each
quarterbacks
other.
work very well with receivers. Some of them are just a pain in the butt and don't want to do the work. So, if you don't want to do the work and you got a receiver that wants to put in the work, that's going to be an issue. You got vice versa, that can be an issue. Some quarterbacks will work around it. So I'm just saying, for him to sit there and say that great receivers don't save bad quarterbacks. Duh. First off, a bad quarterback will look below average with a good receiver. A below average quarterback will look average. An average quarterback will look above average.
Right.
That's the way it works. Now, here's the second duh for Mark Ross. Great receivers don't save bad quarterbacks. What you're doing is you're making the insinuation that that pick was made to save Daniel Jones. That's an asinine assumption.
Or he was the best player available, but
no. But what I'm saying is, the Giants actively tried to trade down to get Drake May this year. So why would you think that pick was there to save Daniel Jones when they clearly decided to move on from Daniel Jones?
Or how many reports in the dozens that were made about how many quarterbacks that come into MetLife to possibly put on blue, not green? And you're going to say, we're trying to save Daniel Jones because we brought in JJ, we brought in Drake, we brought in everyone.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like, this was not a move to save Daniel Jones. This was a move to improve the team because we didn't have a number one wide receiver. They don't grow on trees. They don't hit the market very often.
And
so to say
very
great
costly.
Receivers don't save bad quarterbacks is one of the most asinine statements I've ever heard Mark Ross say, if not anyone on the NFL network. That is the dumbest thing. That's like saying we should just keep on drafting quarterbacks till we hit on one. Who are we, the Atlanta Falcons? The New York Jets? I mean, like, seriously, you don't. Now, if you have a quarterback that you think could be your starter in the future, it could be your future franchise QB, and he's available and you need one and you don't take him, you're a freaking moron. I'm going to say that up front. But the Giants had the chance of taking J.J. McCarthy. They had the chance of taking Michael Penix. They had the chance to take Bo Nix. They didn't. They didn't think they were that good. Now, it doesn't take anybody but to watch one or two episodes of our draft stuff to know that we liked Penix. We thought he was that good, but we didn't have the time that they had with him. They didn't have the chance to see them. We didn't have the chance to see the medicals they got to see and all that kind of stuff. Who knows what their issue was with him? But they didn't think he was worth a 6-pick selection. And if that's the case, don't reach.
And most of the NFL scouts and most of the NFL analysis also would have agreed with he's not worth a 6th-round pick over
6th overall pick.
Yeah, sorry.
I was say that.
I apologize. You're right. 6th overall pick. The 6th pick in the 2024 draft.
The 6th pick.
He was
2024.
Yeah, he was not. He wasn't there. Like, but most analysis and most NFL experts will say at pick number 8 he was not worth it when he got drafted, which probably put a higher run on QBs in this draft that was speculated to happen. So, like, the Giants were betting that, hopefully you can trade up back in the back end. The draft's done with, obviously we can't speculate because it's done. Yeah. It's over with. But they made the right choice of taking a generational wide receiver that could make this team way better no matter who the quarterback is.
I guess to me, it's just like do you want a team to keep reaching? Do you want to keep on doing it? Because you know what happens? Not only do you not have a quarterback, but you don't have a team around a quarterback when you do that. So yeah, we could have drafted any of those quarterbacks that were available. We could have. But is the team that better if they draft a quarterback that the team and the front office and coaching staff have no faith in whatsoever? They fall flat on their face because of that. Because let's be honest, that's going to hurt their ability to do that. Or are you better off trying to build a team until one of those guys becomes available to us?
Reaching and picking the wrong player doesn't only hurt the coaching staff and the team, but the overall morale of the team in general.
Oh, yeah. Could you imagine? Like, a guy comes in, he sucks right away as a quarterback, and they're like, what the hell? We could have had Malik Neighbors, and he goes off like a 1,200-yard season or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. And with Jimmy Garoppolo thrown to him or something.
Yeah, like...
You're going to tell me that Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Daniel Jones? Like,
this short-sighted BS that Mark Ross was spitting proves to me that we made the right decision by letting him go. Because that explains a lot of why we had the drafting issues we've had for so long. Because if there was someone at the building in a very high position that thought that we were drafting a receiver purely to help Daniel Jones, you're a moron, dude. We drafted him because we drafted him to have him for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Not to have him try to fix Daniel Jones this year. Because let's be honest, I don't think most people think there's a fixing of Daniel Jones. What we're hoping is that if we get Daniel Jones as a starter this year, that he at least looks like Daniel Jones of 22 and not Daniel Jones of 23. And if he looks like Daniel Jones of 2022, and you can put in front of him Malik Neighbors, and he's a legit number one receiver. If you put in front of him Wan'Dale Robinson, and he's a 100-catch guy like me and Rob have both said we think he could be, and you put in front of him a couple of good young tight ends in Bellinger and Theo Johnson, you might have something even better than 22. And when 22, keep in mind, we went to the playoffs. We won a playoff game. It's not like we haven't gone to the playoffs in 10 years. It's not about this year, guys. It's about the future long term. Don't let the talking head morons like Mark Ross get you all riled up. Because I'm telling you right now, that man is a vendetta against the Giants, because I've never heard him say a goddamn positive thing about this team. It's a personal vendetta, and the NFL Network should be embarrassed and ashamed to have this man with a mic on their screen. Point blank. I'll go that deep into it. So,
at least when it comes to reporting about the Giants, because obviously he is salty.
Very salty. That man is more salty than Mr. Peanut himself. Just saying.
He's got all the nuts.
He is nuts, that's for damn sure. All righty, let's get into the comments here. We got let's see here. We have already talked about let's see here. Sorry, we got a lot of stuff going here. We got more talk about Josh Rosen. Deb says, I heard someone talking to him before he was drafted and said he didn't want to talk about football. Also, work ethic was bad. I've heard that as well. Talking about letting go. Deb saying she heard that too. I'm talking back. Let's see here. Connor says he's a Giant, though. Got us our first Super Bowl and basically got us our second one until he got hurt. Maybe they got a thing against blondes. At least Boomer still has a radio show. Maybe do Sims and Boomer with Son. I'm not sure if you consider Sims or Boomer anything but a gray nowadays, hair color wise. Just saying. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm probably not that far behind in my 40s. I'm kind of shocked I don't have more grays than I already do. I get the occasional ones I got to pluck out of the beard, especially. Still don't have a little salt.
Those are the worst ones.
They are, because they're the longest, the most obvious ones. Always are. It's crazy.
Listen, my grays aren't gray. They are white. It's not fair.
Yeah. Bill says, okay, I'm in. Told you I'd be by. So I saw him earlier on the Giant Insider. They had one of theirs going.
Bill.
So I appreciate it, Bill. He apparently is as bad an addict as I am, because I was also in I was listening to 2 or 3 live shows going on while I was doing show notes and everything for us too on top of that. So plus doing more videos to cut for us too. So we got so much content coming out right now. Here we go. I was talking about that, about the quarterback we drafted. He said, born in 1955, Jeesh, which is the boomer thing. Connor says, never realized Boomer was so much younger, figure a year or two. No, because remember, Boomer was still playing like the mid-90s. Playing for was it Arizona, I want to say, towards the end of his career?
I believe so.
I believe he was playing for, if I remember correctly.
Arizona or Cardinals? I want to say Arizona.
Yeah, I guess I said that's I want to say it was Arizona. And yes, he did. He after his years in Cincinnati, obviously played a couple of years with the Jets, then played 1 year in Arizona, and then 1 year back in Cincinnati again as well. So he's last played in 1997, guys. So I was in high school when he was still playing. So yeah. And I want to say Sims was what, 91 or 92 was his last year?
Maybe 3.
I gotta look it up now. Still,
it was early 90s. 2 is probably a solid bet. I'm gonna go with
93. It was 93. So 93 was his last season, and he was 38. So he had a long career because Esiason actually retired at 36. So, all right. Anyway, Deb says 1955 was a very good year. Is that the year from Back to the Future? Is that what happened?
It was.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go back in time.
Back to the Future. I don't ever notice that, like,
21,
Doc
21,
Brown. Doc Brown kind of sounds like a chipper Richard Nixon. He does, and you know it.
Different type of speed.
I don't think you ever thought that you'd hear a chipper version of Richard Nixon on the show, but there you go. There it is. There it is.
Fast.
Bill says Boomer still has the WFAN show. Wonder what Phil will do. He's gonna work for CBS still. He still has stuff he's doing for them. It just won't be there. Connor says Ryan is boring. Why they hire him? I guess that'd be hopefully not as boring in there. All I know is that man must smile a lot. He's got the biggest smile lines ever on the side of his face. I've never seen that before like that. Like, he's like the anti-Kardashian. I don't know if you're aware, but they don't smile because they're afraid of laugh lines. Literally, they won't. It's a rule. I've heard of that, at least. I don't watch the shows or anything, so I've been told that. But yeah, that man's got some laugh lines. It makes me think he's a good person. I always trust people who are laughing all the time. Unless they got a maniacal laugh, then I don't. Let's see. Connor says, wonder if Terry Bradshaw and Jimmy Jackass is next age discrimination. LOL. Bill Kerr's going too. Listen, Bill Cower's still on there. You know, I think is going to be the next one gone age-wise is Tony Dungy. That man looks more and more like the Crypt Keeper each year as things go by. Like, oh my God.
Jeez.
Like, he already had like the sunken in eyes and stuff like that before like this ever happened, but it's gotten worse, man.
Yeah, then Terry Bradshaw's right there behind him, I guess.
But Bradshaw, see, the thing with Bradshaw is Bradshaw has
he's still got it,
but he's got a personality everybody loves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just a fun guy. You can't sit there and say, I mean, listen, there's a lot of people like Dungy, so I'm not knocking Dungy when I say this, but it's the truth on his personality. He gives good analysis, but I feel like I can get good analysis from a lot of people. His personality is not unique.
No.
So,
yeah,
that means someone could do it cheaper. Connor says 1995 definitely was Deb. My favorite Elvis Presley left Sun Records and went to RCA and then became a legend. Okay, were you there?
He was thrusting his hips in the air.
Deb says you are a wealth of knowledge, Connor. And Bill says Rob and I are on the same page. I think it's about flipping out if we had drafted Joe Alt. Connor says, I do what I do, Deb. Connor says, wow, I just saw 8 officers shot, 3 fatal in Carolina. Ooh, I didn't see that. That's crazy. Yeah, that's yeah.
Not much I can say about them on that. I need to actually text a friend.
See, Connor says, Drew, why isn't Good Morning Football on lately? Vacation time? I don't watch it. I don't. So
it's a good question.
Yeah, I'm guessing that, to be honest, it probably isn't on because there's not much to talk about for them. I mean, Good Morning Football kind of caters to the casual fan that just wants to watch the thing while they're having breakfast, not the person who's like getting into the breaking news the second it happens.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
It's like watching SportsCenter in the morning before you go, but just football. Like, if you were
Yeah,
that big of a fan, you'd be usually watching it the night before.
yeah, it's fair. That's a fair statement. And they repeat the same stuff like every
They do
30 or 40 minutes.
They do. Connor says, according to Moneyball movie, have a hot wife, you're a great player in more ways than one. He says, LOL, idiot cow pukes brought the Ewok Zeke back. We forgot to mention that. Ezekiel Elliott did re-sign today for a 1 year, $3 million contract with the Cowboys there. It's crazy because as of right now, he might be their starting running back again.
And
he had almost as many fumbles last year in New England as he did touchdowns. So yeah.
Jerry Jones, Zeke should definitely be your starter.
Joe 2 times, but Joe says, I agree. Good receiver can help a QB, but DJ is a one-read quarterback who doesn't throw the ball deep and quick to run. What's crazy is he has a good deep ball. He's been afraid to throw it. I'm really hoping that they force him to hold on to the ball a little bit during training camp and get him adjusted to it, because I think he's just gun shy from being hit so many times in these games. He's had a crappy offensive line for how long? At some point, they got to teach him, like, it's okay to hold on to the ball for a second. Let something open up, move your eyes around.
Yeah.
But
instead of releasing,
again, I'm not blaming the line on his issues.
Give it 3,
2.5 at least. I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to blame. I'm not blaming the line and his issues. Don't get me wrong. He still, I agree with you, is not good at reading. And it's not just reading, going through his progressions, like you're saying. It's also him not reading a defense that's staring at him about to blitz him out the corner that he can't even freaking see. But even when he's not had that issue, he's had people running down his throat basically the entire time. So, like I said, I just think that we need to go ahead and, admit that's part of the fault. That's not to say it's the whole problem. And I'm not saying that we keep him as the QB of the future. I think he needs to go. But we got to say it's part of the equation. How much of a part? 10%, 15%? I don't know. But if you're telling me I can make this one move and improve my starting quarterback by 10 or 15%, I'm doing it.
Yeah, and also, when you play a game that should be, quote unquote, an hour, granted, it takes 3 hours to play, but yeah, and it's
commercial breaks.
If you cut it in half, that's half an hour of playing time. And that, we'll say 2 hours of last year, of the first start of the season, he got battered like 25 times.
Yeah.
So you're talking 14 times an hour. Which, if you want to break that down even more, you're talking 7 times every half hour, which goes down to 3.5 times every 15 minutes. You got a big, strong dude just battering you down and sacking you.
Yeah.
Teabagging you.
And like I said, I'm not saying Daniel Jones is the future. I'm not saying he's the answer. I'm not saying anything positive towards Jones. I know. I'm just making sure, because I know someone's going to say that's what we're saying, basically. Like, oh, these guys are Daniel Jones apologists. We are not. We are not. He needs to go.
There's plenty of times in that time when he got battered where he could release that ball and not get battered.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, I don't think he's a franchise quarterback, but I also think there's a lot worse quarterbacks in this league than him.
Correct.
I think the biggest issue is the fact that he's our starting quarterback when we should have someone better, and he's getting paid a shitload of money.
He should sit behind Kirk Cousins for a year. Maybe he'll be playing a little better.
Yes, I heard the Falcons were in the market for a quarterback.
Yeah.
You can never have enough. like Lay's potato chips over there.
Like Pringles.
John says, well, I think they went after Drake in case Daniel sucks, but he played great. Sit Drake and go from there. If Daniel plays great to semi, very good, trade him. I think if they had gotten Drake, Daniel Jones would be gone after this year no matter what. Point blank. You don't
Yeah.
draft somebody 6th overall not to play him. John says Roberto with the big brain. And he says Crypt Keeper LOL. He does look like the Crypt Keeper. I'm sorry. Look at the guy. John says heard Bradshaw had cancer. I had heard that too. I haven't heard an update in a while on him, so I hope he's doing well.
Yeah.
Again, he's a fun, entertaining guy. Like, if there's somebody that you watch as they're talking about football that just seems to just enjoy life as a whole, it's Terry Bradshaw. And it may all be an act. Probably not, he'd be the most miserable sack of shit when he goes home. But when he's on that TV and the cameras are on, he just seems like he enjoys life thoroughly. Like, if you had to pick somebody's life to have of all those guys on the on the Fox telecast, you got Strahan, who went from Super Bowl winning defensive end, single season sack record player, to hosting Live with Michael and Kelly, to go into Good Morning America. You got Jimmy Johnson, who has multiple Super Bowl rings as a head coach. You got Bill Cowher, who had a Super Bowl ring and coached forever. Oh, he's CBS. Sorry, wrong guy. You can tell I watch the pregame shows often. Howie Long, Hall of Fame career. Bradshaw may have been the worst player of that bunch, as far as player / coach. Like, he wasn't the best player in the world. Let's be honest. He was the Troy Aikman of the 70s.
That's fair. And his thing is he's charismatic. Like,
he wasn't bad. He just was on a good team and was good, but not great. But yeah, he has. If you were to trade lives, he looks like he's the happiest bastard ever.
Yeah.
So
that dude definitely has demons in his closet.
Like I said, I'm saying honestly, I hope well for the man. He seems like a nice guy. I've seen him doing like off the cuff interviews that are kind of on the fly, and he has that same personality. I do think it's actually legit.
Yeah,
I really do.
agree.
And he doesn't have that fake smile like someone has looking at you, The Rock. Just saying. It's a fake smile. It's not real. That's why I like playing the heel so much. John says Daniel hasn't had time to throw it. Can't imagine getting hit by 300 plus guys consistently. Yikes. Neymar says, do you guys think Knicks in game 5? I got to be honest, man. I'm not a basketball guy, but I'm going to root for them because New York area.
Game 6. Put the bet in. Just to be honest, my money.
As a kid, I was actually a Barkley fan. I was just a fan of wherever Charles Barkley played. And then when he retired, I by default put myself in as a Net fan because that was Jersey back then.
It's a fair statement. I grew up with the dream team being pretty much the Chicago Bulls.
There was a lot of guys there. John says, imagine 4 or 5 of those guys landing on top of you. I could not imagine 4 or 5 300-pound people on top of me. Yeah, that would not be cool. John says, I still believe in Daniel. He's got all the skills, just has to read faster or throw it away, or throw to guys. Throw to a guy, got to trust wide receiver to catch it. Yeah, I think honestly, he's just done. I think he's been ruined by the Giants, to be very frank with you. I don't know what kind of ceiling he had. I really don't, but he's been ruined by the Giants between the offensive scheme changes, the new coaches, the horrible offensive lines, the lack of offensive weapons around him. And John Mara says a lot of things that are wrong. He does a lot of things that are wrong, like allowing the medium coke thing, allowing Eli Manning to be yanked out of a game for Geno Smith. There's a lot of mistakes he's made. If there's one thing he's done right, it's admitting publicly we messed up DJ. I actually give the man credit for saying this. A lot of people wouldn't say something like that. And he's not wrong. Love him or hate DJ. And you're fine. You can have your own opinion. I'm not suggesting either direction. The guy was not set up to succeed. That's not to say if he was, he would have. But he was not set up to succeed. That's for damn sure. John says, Bradshaw's TV show of Family Funny too. And that show he did with Shatner, the Fonz, George Foreman, hysterical. I didn't know about those shows. I don't watch TV anymore. It's part of the problem.
Yeah, no.
Joe says, any confirmation that Darren Waller is retiring? Wouldn't mind seeing what he can do with Theo Johnson. I don't know, to be honest, though. I don't think he knows. Which
I would say there's been no updated news. It's just no news is the same news.
Yeah, so we're have to keep an eye on that. I think he's done personally. But yeah. Let's see. John says Bradshaw played when it was real football, grass, mud fields, cold weather, 4-time Super Bowl champ. Listen, you know who was also a 4-time champion? Al Bundy at Polk High. I'm just saying, he wasn't that good. Again, he was the Troy Aikman of the 70s. It's not a knock on him. It's still a good career. It's still somebody's going to go to the Hall of Fame just based on rings, but he wasn't that great from everything I've seen. Again, I wasn't around in the 70s, so I'll rely on people that actually were and watched him on a consistent basis more than I have, and that's what they all said. Pretty much every single person. Connor says even JJ thought the Giants were. Oh yeah, he definitely did. That's how good. I told you guys, do not play freaking chess with Joe Shane. There's a lot of issues I have with him with the way he drafts. Even this year, we talked about a couple players that were like, "What? Really? This guy? Third round pick this year."
Third round.
Just saying. It's not the right move. But the man knows how to throw a smokescreen. All right, guys. That calls it a night for tonight. So we're going to be back on for you guys Wednesday. We'll be talking about the NFC East teams not named the New York Giants and how they did in the draft there. Because, again, we play these guys twice a year. We're competing against these guys consistently, so we want to go ahead and introduce you to who they got now on their teams as well. And then that'll wrap up officially our draft season here. We'll go back into other news and stuff like that there for you guys starting on Thursday. So, again, we're always live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch. I almost said Twix again. I keep on wanting to say Twix. I'm always like hungry at the end of the show. I want a cookie bar or something. I don't know. Occasionally Instagram. I didn't even do it today. Instagram's been but if you want to go on, check, whatever. YouTube's really the best one. And of course, Rob's favorite,
Drew Swankton.
Oh yes. And if you're watching it for the first time, or maybe you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, do me a favor, hit that subscribe, give it a share, give it a like, give it a follow, let a friend know. Appreciate everybody for listening in. As always, we are available the next day on all audio podcast platforms as well. Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all the fun ones there. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, if you can leave us a 5-star review, very much appreciate it. Especially if somebody left us a bad review on Apple recently. I couldn't believe it. That's our first 1-star review. Ooh. Wish I knew who it was. Of course, they didn't leave a review. We only had 2 negative reviews ever. It was that one and the one guy who gave us a 4-star review, but then we dropped it into 2 because we made fun of the people that were in the sub by the Titanic. That was apparently classless. He didn't like that.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that guy. That was funny. I'm sorry. If you don't have a sense of humor, this is not the show for you. You have rich people going into a submarine using a PlayStation controller. I'm sorry. No.
PlayStation 2 controller. Not even a 5.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah. Oh, Neymar says real quick, I'll give that one there. I like the Tyler Newman pick. Yeah. We said to me that's the best pick up the entire draft. You got the best safety in the entire draft in the second round. Reminds me very much of when we got X. I think he's a slightly different player as far as what he does well, but he's going to step right in and basically take a spot. I love that move. All right, guys. We'll see you guys again on Wednesday. Appreciate you guys listening in as always. And as always, Giant fans,
Go G-Man! Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.